going on, guys? It's Dave with LoFiTrader. I figured I'd give you a little bit of what is going on in my mind while I run through the charts. So let's jump right into this, guys, and we'll see what we can stir up for Monday. All right, so we're going to run through the indices, the weighted baskets, and then we will look at a few stocks that are on my list, and maybe we'll go over a few plays that I have landed in the market. So S&P 500, beautiful, beautiful, looking good. We've been talking about this way back here, guys. Since the inception of LoFi, we've been talking about these new higher lows being put in and how these October lows could be the bottom. Well, now we sit right up here, 443, creating this beautiful looking cup. I would love to see a handle off of this. We're going to see some selling at the top here, and we've already started to see some of it in pre-market, hitting this top. New highs on Friday, and now pulling back just a little bit, peeling back that layer. And now, where will this pullback end? That's the good question. Some might say it's the top. There's still some bears out there, and that's fine. We need the bears to still try to hold strong. If you are bullish, like I am for the S&P 500, for the overall market, as you should be, we want to see our investments, our 401ks, our Roth IRAs, and if you are in any of that, if you have any long-term investing, you are in the S&P 500 one way or another. So we want to see this bullish, right? I'm rooting for the bulls, but I like to be a bear, and I like to see when things come down. So intraday, I'm expecting this thing to get a nice pullback here. Where it's going to land, who knows? But we see support here at 436, 437. So maybe somewhere in this area, this 435 to 437 area, we see it hold and make a nice bounce and head higher, or maybe it doesn't pull back that far. Maybe that handle that I'm expecting to see is not going to be, it's not going to break 439. You know, we never know. We never know with the market, but I'm expecting to see this to be resistance and this area to be its support. And if we can see that, then we're going to see this want to continue higher. So that's my expert on the SPY, which is the overall market. Let's continue now and look at some of the rest. We're going to run through these, so make sure you're paying attention. Next up is the QQQ. QQQ has about 100 stocks in it, mostly tech, and as you guys know, the tech has been kicking butt, taking names up here beautifully around 369.40 and trying to also reach its peak. Now, we know we're expecting some turbulence here because if we look way back here on March 28th, so last year, March 28th, you can see, guys, is that last year? Let me just double check. 22, yeah, definitely. Last year in March, we had this turbulence. We've seen it 2 times before we hit the bull market, and as it's down in these lows, it came back up and now retested that same area. So we were expecting a pullback. We got the pullback, and you guys look, a lot of these investors love to play off this 21-day moving average. So that's why I have this here, because a lot of people like to use it. And sure enough, it posed a beautiful add-in if you were already bullish, a beautiful add-in area, or an area that you may have wanted to get in. Now that time has passed, and we're waiting the QQQs to see where this is headed. Some might say it's going to take off again to the moon. Some things like to continue, and I love to see continuation. And we'll talk a little bit more about that later. IWM. IWM, this is a lagger, but if you guys remember, this was also one of the last things to continue holding up at the base. It was a lagger then, and it is a lagger now. We are seeing tech take off and the S&P 500 follow, as to where IWM had a tough time getting off these lows. Why? Mainly because of the financial institution. The financial institution had a really rough patch and is still being tested right now by the government. It's testing these banks to see where they sit, see how strong they are, as they do every year or every year and a half, depending on how big the bank is. Shout out to Graham Stephan. Thank you teaching me that. Or maybe Ben Andrel. I don't know. Either way, shout out to those guys. So we're going to carry on, guys. The IWM's a lagger. We want to see this thing carry on. The great thing about this is above a 200-day moving average. You love to see it above a 200-day moving average. That's my main criteria, and it came down and it retested that. Well, now, I mean, it's looking beautiful. It's looking beautiful. Now, where is this going to head right here? Can it get and break above that 188 that we've talked about numerous times on the show? Can it get above that? That's the real question. Well, we're going to need to see some volume and some follow through in order to get that. So we will see if it's going to hold and where the new lower high is going to hold. So we have new lower high from here and here. And here's our new lower high. We're at the 200 moving average. So we need to see this thing hold a new lower high. It's probably somewhere in this 184, 185 area, or maybe we just take off. Either way, I want to see it. I want to see it come in, and I want to be there for it. NASDAQ. Looking beautiful. Back up at these highs. We want to see, just like I've been talking about the other indices, a nice little cup and handle to form on this. Just kind of, you see this cup, it didn't make a handle, it just blew through. This made a nice little cup. If we zoomed in on an earlier time frame, you'd see a nice little handle on this thing before it took off. So it's just shaping up really, really nice. Where's the next new higher low going to set? Or maybe we just break down, maybe this is the peak. Maybe the bears are right. Maybe we do get too much turbulence and it starts to pull back. Anything can happen. We could pull all the way back right down here to support, over time. So just keep that in mind. We're not here to predict, we're here to react. So if we see a hard bounce, a hard rejection off of this with volume getting rejection up here at 152.27, then we're going to want to look to take some bearish trades, right? Dow Jones Industrial, right here back at these peaks. To me, this looks like a nice flag, and like it could take off if it gets above this and breaks this area. It could really, really get up there. Well, what was beautiful with this I've been loving these daily trend line breaks. So we have this daily trend line. You can see that I drew out here, and you can see this blast off on volume that catches the 30-day and then takes off from there. You could have played this anywhere in this area. In this here, a big blast off through there with not much pullback, that would have been kind of a telltale sign to wait and see the retest of that trend line, and then it bouncing. This would have been a nice area to take in using those lows. I love those daily trend line breaks, but I don't play the ETFs. They move a little too slow for me. But if you wanted to play something that moved faster that was in the DJI, the Dow Jones Industrial, that would have been a more proper play. If you guys have any questions, just go ahead and leave a comment below. I answer all comments, and I would love to hear from you. So if you have any questions, just leave it down there. Let me know. Next up is Tesla. Tesla, absolutely beautiful. Speaking of Tesla, I want to bring up Ride, just filed for bankruptcy. So be careful with those low floats, those crappy stocks that are they give you a whole lot of promise, but not a lot of price action, okay, to the north side. Tesla above a 200-day moving average, created a new lower high, and caught a bid at the 21-day moving average. As you see, this is a big one in the QQQ, and it's acting and looks just like the QQQ because Tesla, it's very weighted in the QQQ along with Apple. Netflix, guys, Netflix, man, this Netflix, wow, it took me by surprise. Netflix holding this daily trend line and then creating this beautiful breakout right here. How high can it go? Well, just like the rest of the tech, it kind of looks the same. We're creating that cup with handle on this bull run. Microsoft looking very similar, but not as strong as the rest. But that is to be argued because when I zoom out here, you can see it's lurking towards its all-time highs. So who am I to say that this thing, I mean, it's beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful. So if this thing can, when I see things like this, I don't expect them to just break through and just head straight up, right? Stocks don't head straight up. But if you look at this overall trend, and we could even go to the weekly here, we look at this overall trend, I mean, we gotta expect a pullback here. You got this huge push down, this huge bull market, this huge breakthrough and heading higher, right? This cup and handle, right, that I've drawn out previous. Beautiful cup and handle on an earnings gap up play. Wow. I didn't catch too much of that, but it was fun. It was fun while it lasted. And now we're going to see this thing probably trade sideways for a little bit. I mean, personally, for me to want to get on Microsoft, I wouldn't want to try and play anywhere anytime soon. Maybe in 2 or 3 weeks, let this thing bounce around, find its new higher low for one, see where it's going to pull back to. But hey, who am I to say? Maybe this AI thing is just something crazy and everybody's huge race to get to the top, and that Chat GPT-4 might, you know, do Microsoft a huge favor by setting itself aside from the rest. But to be honest, we're just going to skip to NVIDIA really quick, guys, because that is what I like to see on a weekly. Wow, what a mega stock. This thing is absolutely beautiful. I've been watching and playing it for quite some time, ever since this earnings gap up here. This earnings gap up just really took the market by surprise, up over 26% on the earnings gap up. Ever since then, I've been keeping a very close eye on this to continue playing a continuation. I've caught money on this multiple times. NVIDIA, if you don't have it on your watch list, guys, you're falling asleep. You're sleeping at the desk. You need to wake up. You need to keep your eye on this leader. It's a growth stock. It's absolutely beautiful. I'm not here to tell you what's going to happen. I'm here to tell you the price action in this, showing me that it is a growth stock, holding a 21-day moving average, creating tight action. I played this. I have an issue when I start taking money off the trade or adding into a trade. I don't give myself too much room as it comes back. And I played this whole move for, let's see, roughly 2.5%. Okay, 2.5%. And I played this, and it was a great play. Absolutely fun ride. But knowing that we're right back in here at this resistance, I wanted to take off and see how this played out here. I like to give it time, like to see how it plays out. Now, it might be a huge mistake because it might just take off without ever coming back to retest. But if we look at this on the hourly, guys, we can see that we're going to have an issue here, right? It either is going to sit here, bounce off, or take off, maybe run into some resistance up here at 434. I'll just draw that out for you. Right around here, 434, 434.50, 435. Remember, everything's not exact. But if it takes off here, I'm expecting a pullback to retest this to show me that this is no longer going to be its resistance area, that it's going to be its support area. And if this is going to be its support, this is where I want to slowly dollar cost average in, or maybe pick a solid buy using these down here as a risk of my risk tolerance, saying if it breaks this area, say 410, or we use 405, or even if you're want to use a wider risk at 396 for an even bigger move, then you can. But I want to make sure this price action in this area. So I cut the trade, played that move. It was beautiful downtrend break, guys. Here, I'll just draw it out for you, and you'll see it. If you didn't see it when I opened up the chart, it's right in front of you. Sometimes trading is really that easy. And guys, and you can do it too. It just takes a while. It just takes a while to learn to draw these stupid lines and then learn what you are comfortable with. Next up is Apple. My goodness, look at Apple. There's no cup and handle here, ladies and gentlemen. Apple just keeps making new highs. Even in the after hour when it closes like this and it closes strong, watch out. So let's look at Google. Absolutely beautiful. Google had a beautiful push, but here's the thing. Google is definitely slacking here. It's slacking. Well, everything looks strong. Google's having this pullback. So is this a new high or low? We'll see. It's very interesting. This could be a great time to buy, but Google's looking like it's hurting right now. Well, everything is close to new highs. Microsoft, Apple, its leading competitors are at its new high. It looks like Google is actually pulling back a little bit. Now, I do want to point out it does look healthy because it is above a rising 200-day moving average. We have all the support down here at 107, but I'm just comparing it to its others because we want to be in leaders. We don't want to be in laggers, right? Now, I flip-flopped my Bitcoin stocks, guys. This is the Bitcoin segment. I don't speak on it too long, but here it is. I've chose Mara over Riot for the simple fact that it looks more of the leader now than Riot did. Now, back in the day, RIOT was looking really good back here because it was well above the 200-day moving average before anything else was. But now it just looks like it's trading sideways. It's kind of got stuck in this sideways channel. So if we look at Mara, bada bing, bada boom, you can see it's plain as day. Mara's on an uptrend. Right? And we want to be in the leading stocks. This is still Riot. Riot's still stuck in this. And Mara decided, hang on, let me take the lead. Hold my float. I'm out of here. Okay? So making new lower highs. So if you're looking at Bitcoin and you're long Bitcoin, this would be the stock to look at, right? Mara. It's the leader in the Bitcoin right now. In Bitcoin right now when it comes to the miners. Okay, so Bitcoin miners. Snap, goodness gracious, I wish I would have listened to myself back here when it was fearful and it was low, but just couldn't find a good foothold to get in. But Snapchat is looking nice. So that's going to be my overall take on the indices. This week's segment where I go through a few of the stocks that I have been looking at, that I've been keeping an eye on, and that I would like for you to put on your watch list as well. A lot of these are going to be growth stocks. Some of these are penny stocks, and we will go through them. Now, SOUN is a penny stock when it comes to the whole AI. It's definitely one to keep on your list because it is looking like a nice cup with possible handle. Now, if you look into the stock, it looks absolutely garbage, so please be careful. And the float on this thing, I'm sure, is pretty small. Let's just take a little peeky gander at the float in that. So we'll go to floatchecker.com. I need to verify that I'm a human. I am. And then we're going to go and type in very simply, if it'll let me in, goodness gracious, SOUN. Didn't pass the test. SOUN, 156 million. That is a super low float, guys. You need to be really, really careful with this one, okay? So, 156 million. Well, I'm sorry, it's not a super low float. I was thinking 156K. 156 million. I mean, that's mid. You know, not too low, but you can still, it's still fishy. Okay, somebody with 156 million control the whole float. You need to be careful. Next up is going to be AI. Obviously, if we're looking at the artificial intelligence, this one is a huge buzz. Everybody's talking about it, so we want to keep our eyes on it. Now, this was, you know, right here is the same area of support that we want to see. You know, it's kind of funny because I keep telling my buddy, you know, this is a laggard to NVIDIA, right? NVIDIA is the leader in this, and this is the laggard to it. It's kind of funny because when I say that and I look at this and NVIDIA's chart, the hourly looks quite similar, right? We get this big push off, and now we're into its previous resistance where it was trading sideways before. So are we going to see this thing bounce off this, take off and retest, bounce off this and go to the moon? Or are we going to see this thing break down here, show us a new higher low, and then take off from here? My expectancies, I guess, what I'm expecting to see, but it won't often or always happen. But if it does, then I'm looking to take, right? Is if it takes off from here, pulls back, okay, and then bounces off of that, I could see it getting up here into the $45 range. Okay, so let's go ahead and continue. SMCI. We already talked about NVIDIA. Now SMCI, another beautiful one in the tech industry, microcomputers, super micro. SMCI. This is absolutely beautiful, guys. I did take a small trade on this. I'm risking about $100, but I played this breakout here. I do really like SMCI. I do like the cup. I like the handle that it formed on this. And now if we can see continuation on this, I'd like to let it ride out. You can see I only took 10 shares in this. I'm only risking $100. That might be a large amount to some. That is a large amount to me. I'm risking $100 to make over $1,000 because this is my risk is very small compared to what this stock is capable of doing, right? So even if we look at to a new highs where I might take a little off the top, we're talking that is a 3.86% to the highs of 8%. So 369, that's almost a 1 to 3 risk reward. We'll say 1 to 2 though, just to say that's where a 1 to 2 risk just to reach the highs. But I'm expecting this thing to continue with its growth, continue with its cycle, and continue to head higher. If it doesn't, well, I stop out. I show that I am wrong, breaking this area right here, the low of its breakout day. Okay? Simple as that. I like to keep it simple. Keep it simple, stupid. This is a low float I'm just keeping an eye on. I was hoping to see a break of its daily trend on volume, but we've seen a break, but we didn't see it on volume, so I'm expecting this thing to kind of just fade off. Now, I don't have any any shares in this. Just one that I wanted to keep an eye on. I do really like to keep an eye on some low floats. It's just in my nature. I love to see them quick movers. This thing moves 27.9% on average in a day, so watch your butts on that one. Cost, COST, I'm still in this trade. I only have about 10 shares of it. We're up about 224 bucks on this trade, but we talked about the breakout here, guys. We talked about the retest, and this is about when I started dollar cost averaging into this. I bought all the way down here at this 503. We played it. I sold a little bit on the initial push just because I figured this was just too good to be true. I sold a little, but then I started dollar cost averaging back in on these pullbacks. Again, adding in on this breakout, I actually added 2 more shares in this, and that's why I'm just going to keep my 10, and I'm going to keep it there because it's just a slow mover. I don't want to concentrate a ton of money into this. It's just a slow mover, and where I want to concentrate my money is the fast movers, kind of like NVIDIA. Quick mover, growth stock. It only moves 3.4%, but it's a lot. That's twice the amount as what cost is moving, because cost is only moving at 1.2%. Okay, so PANW, very beautiful move here. I can't get into this thing at all-time highs, but I'm expecting to see a nice pullback to that 21-day moving average. If we can see that, that might be a nice area to start feeding a little stocks into. Now, Schwab, I've been watching for a long time. If we can ever break out of this area, this is going to be a beautiful move higher, but you know, it's just constantly playing. I've tried a few different times to get into this stock, playing these downtrend lines, but I think it just needs more time. It's been trading sideways for a while, and these could be really, really well. This could do really, really well if it wants to take off and break out. IoT is another leader in this industry. I should say industry, it's technology. I have no idea what they do. Not that you really even need to know if you're just trading price action. But do your due diligence, guys. Don't just listen to some talking head on YouTube. If you like IoT, figure out why you like it, whether it's price action, whether it's trend lines, whether it's the growth, the earnings, or whatever it is, find out what makes it right for you. Now, I played an earnings continuation on this. We made a beautiful 30% on that trade. Check my other videos if you want to see how I play earnings continuation trades. RMBS, this thing stopped me out when I tried to get into it, so I've just been keeping an eye on it. It didn't play how I expected it to take off from this 10-day moving average, like it bounced off here, but I got out of it pretty quickly, lost about $60 on it, no big deal, but this is creating a nice little cup. Maybe we see it get tight again on one of the moving averages and take off. ELF. Put it on your watch list, guys. All-time highs, same as the other ones. We want to see a pullback to the cup and handle. CELH, this thing has been trading sideways for a little while, so if it can break out above this area on volume, I'd love to see it pull back and retest it, showing proper price action at 153. Right now, it's just range bound in between roughly 139 and 153, but you could even say that this 147 is now holding, and this might be the new higher low on the hourly. On the daily, it's just a little extended from its 10-day moving average, but it is getting very tight. You know, very tight. Let's look at the weekly here, actually. Look at this. This is, 3 weeks tight, I think they call this in the IWM range. It's just getting really tight right here. It's a little extended on the weekly 10-day, but on the daily, I mean, this thing's looking pretty beautiful. Yeah, I like it. That looks really tight here, guys. So this might actually break out of this area. If it can break out of this area, that might be a nice risk reward here. And this is what I mean by this. If we look at the daily, and we look at our risk reward, we can use this right here as our risk if we break out of this area at the high. So then if I were to say, yeah, these are my areas, this is what I would tolerate. Let's say this thing takes off, just breaks out here and breaks out and gets you in at 154. Let's just say it actually breaks that 154 area, because its highest it's ever been is 153.94. It breaks out of the 154 area and you get in. You can use this down here, this low of the day, or you could even use, if you wanted to just take this, the low of even pre-market, 148 to make it even, then you have your risk tolerance right there. You can do 148 minus 153, you get your number and multiply that, that gives you the amount of stocks that you can take. Then you can just set your stop loss right here. And if you're using this all you have to do is climb down here, click where you want your stop loss after you've bought your stocks. Good to go. It sets it, puts a visual right there for you. And it's an absolute beautiful little thing. Let's take a look at Tesla. We already looked at Tesla. And I'll just give you a couple more here, guys. This CVS, I'm just looking at stocks that are just beat down, that people think are going to be good investments, and waiting for a pop. I made this channel and I missed out. I actually stopped out of this. I got too much in too quick. It's one of those things where, like, not the fear of missing out, but I expected this to die right here, and then when it popped out, it got me out and then made the move. So, you know, that's part of it. It's part of it, guys. It's part of learning. That's a short trade, right? And now if it can get back up into this area and show me it's another good area for a short, that's something that I might take, using that peak now as my stop loss, okay? Let's look at HUBS. Now this thing looks like it's primed and ready to rock to the north side. This is not, these aren't your thoughts, these are mine, right? So it had this downward trend line break, stopping me out after it came back and broke that low, okay? So maybe I should have had a wider stop loss, or maybe I shouldn't have so much concentrated in it, but regardless, it did not play my play. My play is breaking out, maybe coming back to retest, but continuing on after. This broke down a little further, stopping me out. Hey, congratulations to the guys that stuck with it, that were able to, but personally now I'm waiting for this breakout right here for this cup and handle. Now, I don't want to take it too premature, but if we see this volume and I start to see volume in the pre-market come through, I'm going to have to lay eyes on HUBS, because I think that this could really take off as a growth stock. Now, remember, these are my thoughts. These are not yours. You need to do your own due diligence and figure out what you think could possibly happen, because at these highs, this might be where everybody is going to take their profits and sell off, just like they did back here. So pay attention to that too, guys. There's always that. And one financial stock I just started looking into was V. Okay, Visa. It only moves 1.6%, so please keep in mind it's at its all-time highs, breaking, well, not all-time, but its yearly highs. It can never get past this 234, and now it's past it, trading at 237.48. I really would like to see this maybe come back down, retest maybe these highs, showing me its strength where I can get in and take a pretty little penny. Again, I'm not going to fully concentrate myself into that just because, just because it moves too slow. I want to concentrate myself in things that are the quick movers, okay? But I do like this. It looks like a nice base forming, base on base, and it could really pop off and head higher. So keep those in mind, guys. So that's all I got for you today. Listen, hit that like, hit that subscribe. If you made it all the way to the end and you haven't hit that subscribe button yet, I don't know what you're doing. I want to see you here just as much as I want to see you. You want to see me here, right? All right, guys. Well, thank you so much for joining in. Appreciate you being a part of this, and we will see you very, very soon.